Happy New Year everybody, George back with another video today. Obviously we're doing the Vinyl Taggy 2023. Thanks to Rob for organising it. Once again Rob, well done. So fire ahead, get this done quickly as usual. So I've not got the list written down, so it's just seeing the albums and try to remember the questions. So hopefully I'm not too bad. So, favourite album of 2022 was Black Acid Soul by Lady Blackbird, the American lady, and is very big over here in Europe at the time. She's heavily touring. This is just a fantastic album. Soul music, yeah, can't quite file it under jazz, but it's jazzy soul, and if you're looking for a female vocalist the last year, quality, you won't do any better than this album. So favourite album of last year, new album, new release, because you know most of the stuff I buy these days is 50s, 60s, but jazz. So Black Acid Soul by Lady Blackbird, brilliant album. Show an album that you've seen the band live or artists live. Question 2, well, seen maybe 4 or 5 gigs last year, and this is probably the biggest one. I'll show another couple and the other couple of questions. So the biggest gig I've seen was Robert Cray. Robert Cray, obviously most folk know as a blues guy from America, still going, still touring. And this is one of his best albums, Strong Persuader. This is a Japanese copy. I've not checked all the dates and that, or will be here forever. But he still uses the same bass player and sort of band. A fantastic album if you're going to get. It's one of his best albums. Robert Cray was fantastic. I seen him years ago supporting BB King, and I thought Robert Cray would blow BB King off the stage, and he never. BB King was fantastic. So it was great to get along and see Robert Cray again, headlining the act, and it was such a fantastic concert. So best live gig I've seen this year was Robert Cray. Third question, best debut album. As we know, there's been hundreds and thousands, but the one that sprung to mind to me was an old favourite back in the time, and it was Star Sailor, and Love Is Here was the album, and this was from probably 1990 or something like that. Don't really know, can't remember. So yeah, I just seen them recently live too. My son wanted to go and see them, and he says, Dad, I've seen them quite a few times. Star Sailor playing, and there's a woman selling the tickets down the road from you. I tell her you're coming, so I picked up the tickets, and she says, oh, that'll be 40 pounds. Did he not pay you online? She went, no. So I got stuck with that, as you do with kids. So Star Sailor, Love Is Here. I think there was about 4 singles off this, and one of the main tracks for me was Alcoholic. Such a brilliant track. Good Souls. It's one of those albums that every track could have been a single. It was so strong. And then their albums, this is their best album. Their second album is their second best album. And they've done about 6 albums, but they're still touring around. And James Welsh is still doing some soul albums and things. Fantastic album from the 90s, I think. Right, so Rob asked us to show Heart Chick, he called it. Well, I've no cassettes. I put all of them in the bucket a few years back. I never bought pre-recorded cassettes anyway. I maybe had 1 or 2 cassettes were for taping my LPs for the car, like most people, I think. So, but anyway, I do a duo too. So this is the first CD I pulled to find an album to go along with it, and this is the Dead Weather and Sea of Cowards. This is Jack White's, one of Jack White's bands. This is the album. And female singer, Jack White generally plays drums in the band, seen them live. Why I bought the CD, I have no idea, because I don't really buy CDs. Maybe it was out before the album. I don't think it came free with the album, not in that sleeve, so I've got both for some reason. Fantastic band, fantastic. The Dead Weather, a wee bit like the White Stripes, but beefed up with a female vocalist. Right, so show an album, it begins and ends in the same letter. So bought this album this year, and it's Sonny Rollins and it's Saxophone Colossus, so S and S. So Analog Productions, one of their prestige series releases, fantastic quality. So S&S, Sonny Rollins, Saxophone Colossus. A nice album if you see it, nice and easy listen. Right, so an artiste that shares the same birthday as you. So this one I'm picking, two members of the band are the same age as me, born in the same year anyway, and they live 50 miles away. And the band is Simple Minds, and the two artists, there's still two only remaining original members, is Jim Kerr and Burchill, what's his name? What's his first name? Burchill. Charlie Burchill. This is one of my favourite Simple Minds albums, probably started going downhill a wee bit after this. Once Upon a Time, the main track on that is brilliant, still love hearing it. Alive and Kicking's on this album. Again, with me, Simple Minds, they were at their best in the early days, maybe not their first album, and they went up and this started peaking for me around about this time. So born in the same year, Jim Kerr and Charlie, the guitarist Charlie Burchill. Okay, so most played album in the year. Well, I have 5 albums coming in a week and I have 5 albums going out, so there's not a particular album really, generally I listen to or go back to an album once I get a bit spare time. But anyway, an album that was played heavily when I got it was this beginning of the year is Analog Productions. This is Jimi Hendrix Experience, and it's Are You Experienced, the album Are You Experienced, and I'll just quickly show you this. A lot of bump in this, but that's the album in there. Absolutely fantastic album, brilliant, and it's on this super clarity vinyl. Purple Haze is on here, Hey Joe, The Wind Cries Mary, Foxy Lady. Classic album, and probably because I paid so much for it, it was on my turntable quite a lot. And sounds fantastic. So artist, that was the most played record. Most played artist would be, for sure, would be Bill Evans. Again, a bit jazz. I've just got so many albums. We're buying a box set of Bill Evans this year, and so I spent a lot of time listening to Bill Evans, so he's my most played album. Artist of 2022, Bill Evans, fantastic piano player, generally plays in a trio, just lovely music. Okie doke, firing on. Right, an Australian band. Well, I've not got a lot of Australian music really, and I've got one album or two by INXS. The Go-Betweens were a great Australian band. I picked Icehouse, but I originally picked Icehouse, and then I seen Richard McCook had picked him, so obviously AC/DC, but they're a Scottish band really, aren't they? So Dead Can Dance is the group, I've got far more than any other Australian artist. I maybe have about 8 albums. I don't have them all. I've got most of their early stuff. They recorded in 4AD. Dead Can Dance, I mean, they're indie band. They were a 2-piece band that came to London approximately 1983, female and a guy, and settled in London, and yeah, recorded from there. So there's a wee star for you too, Rod, in your space age. Dead Can Dance, probably one of the best Australian bands, I would think, came out there. Okay, so, right, how did you word this one again, Rob? A surprise buy. I wasn't really surprised, but it was a surprise that this came along. I'll squeeze in my old favourite artist or group, and this is Bebop Deluxe, live in the Air Age, and this was an RSD buy this year. And when I heard it was coming out, I was absolutely delighted. This is a 3LP. This is a 3LP version, and that's why I was really delighted it came out. We're all on white vinyl. Originally the album came out as an album and an EP, so the first side was the album A, side B and C was the EP I never played, and then you went back to the album, it was side D. It was crazy. It should have, I always thought it should have been a double album. They omitted tracks from their album of that year, Modern Music, so which a bummer. I was at the, I actually seen this tour play, so it was quite a special album for me. But anyway, I thought it come out in two LPs, 3 LPs, absolutely stunning to get that. And this is a concert of this Hammersmith Odeon, where the original LP was just, the tracks were culled from 3 different gigs. So real great to get that, a real surprise, and I'm glad to finally get the full concert in my possession. Okay, firing on. Now, an artiste or band you're completed on, or a completist, can't remember how Rob worded this, but an old favourite of Rob's too is, and mine, is Paul Weller. And this is his second solo album, Wildwood. I'll get it to open. Now I had every Paul Weller album up to a point. I've not got his latest one, and this could have served as one of the albums as 3 in the wheelhouse, 3 great albums, because Paul Weller's first 3 albums are magic. And for me, he went downhill after that. I've actually, some of his LPs are worth quite a bit of money, so I've sold 2 or 3. There's posters in here and whatever. And I'm completist in the point that, yeah, he was one of my favourite artists back in the time, but when his material isn't just as good as it used to be, I've moved on somewhat. But this for sure, for me, Wildwood is right where it is with Paul Weller. Okay, and now he's asked for a trio LPs that sort of defined a band, was right in their sweet spot. And for me, well, Rob Ison got my David Bowie albums there. So I went for one of the other great bands of the time and getting in there before somebody else. So for me, Roxy Music. And not only did they do, this is from 1973, their first 5 albums are just absolutely brilliant. So for your pleasure, there was no singles. They released a single at the time, Pajama Rama, but never appeared on the album. I think it did in American versions to try and sell it. Do the Strands on this, Editions of You, Every Home a Heartbeat. I mean, it's just a fantastic album, and this was Brian Eno's last album with Roxy. The LP after that, another brilliant classic, Stranded, and we have the great single on here is Street Life. Brilliant album. And the third out of the 5 really is Country Life, and I believe Steve Carlson has about 20 copies of this LP for some reason, don't know why. And it has the fantastic single All I Want Is You. Out of the Blue, 3 and 9, favourite track of mine. Just a great album. There you go, Steve, another, if you've not seen it enough. Soundtrack from the 80s and from 1983, I think this is Ryuichi Sakamoto from the Yellow Magic Orchestra, and the movie is Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence. And there we have the great David Bowie. There's Ryuichi Sakamoto there. Great keyboard player, played a wee bit with, helped out with Japan on one of their tours. Yeah, I think it was 83 it was, yeah. So it's a soundtrack to the movie, and Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence was released as a single with vocals added to it, and it comes on the last track, and it's Forbidden Colours. And David Sylvian, that was a Sylvian and Sakamoto single. So great soundtrack, great movie at the time. I loved it just because Bowie was in it, and Sakamoto was a big fan of Yellow Magic Orchestra at the time. Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence. Right, so someone that's died this year. Surprised nobody's done this one, it was quite recent. But it's Terry Hall of the Specials. Terry was the same age as me too. Terry from Coventry, and then done 2 albums, the Specials done 2 albums. He obviously went on to Fun Boy 3 and had a few albums in Colourfield, bits and bobs, but this is a classic 2-tone. This album was done by Abbey Road in more recent times as a double 45, 2-disc. Maybe you'll be on it there. Yeah, Terry Hall, Too Young, Too Much Too Young. Great man, and yeah, sad to see Terry go for sure. Terry Hall. Okay, disappointing album of the year. Well, this is an RSD buy, and a lot of these RSD buys can be probably quite disappointing. I mean, they're churning out stuff, and this was the same. This is Ultravox Live at the Rainbow from 1977. It was probably just about around the time they were recording their first album. This is strangely, I mean, there's 9 songs on this. Runs at 45, I think, if I remember rightly. 2 tracks are in mono, so somebody's had like a microphone into a cassette player or something, you know. The quality is rubbish, really. But it's, in a way, for Ultravox fans, it's historical because they do 2 or 3 songs on it that don't appear on any of the albums or the original album. So that's Ultravox. Disappointing buy of the year, but I sort of half knew that in a way it wasn't going to be a goodie. Okay, so non-vinyl purchase this year. I don't buy many CDs, maybe 2 a year or 1 year, but I seen my friend just recently in concert, Adam Holmes. He played a fairly local gig, and Adam Holmes is a singer-songwriter. Just wrote me a wee message. I used to work with Adam. Folk singer, Scottish folk, John Martin in style. He's trying to get a wee bit more modern here, so you could probably go on YouTube and play the last track. It's quite a mere up-tempo poppy song. Go and have a look at that, Adam Holmes, Edinburgh. So it was great to meet up with Adam, and unfortunately doesn't do vinyl. So my non-vinyl purchase of the year, the great Adam Holmes, in Hope Park, and I think Hope Park, he done this over lockdown. I think Hope Park is where he stays in Marchmont in Edinburgh. Grail, we're getting close, so this must be 18. Grail of the year, and probably shown this at some point or whatever. Yeah, the complete plantation recordings of Muddy Waters. These were field recorded by Alan Lomax in 1941, 1942 by the Library of Congress. And Alan Lomax would go out in the field and he would record all these folk and traditional singers that were making music. And I mean, this whole package it's in cloth sleeves, it's all textured, it's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, Analog Productions done a great thing here. It was limited to 1,000 copies and I've 713 now. I had this in my outbox checkout at Analog Productions for so long. It was $65. What a steal at $65 now, double album. And I never pulled the trigger, and when I decided really to pull the trigger, it was gone. I was sick. So I think this was maybe 2017, 2019 maybe, was it? Anyway, I just put it on my watch list on eBay and I eventually came up. You can go on Discogs and pay a lot of money for it. I paid a wee bit, but sort of acceptable price to pay for this. Now, there's a great video, Analog Productions, of Teddy, and he does a great review of this album. So if you want to know more about this LP, that's not the original, that's a compilation LP of this, and I think there's a couple of tracks, Muddy Waters, on that. Just shows you all fantastic. Take time out and watch the video, Teddy doing the promotional video on that. It's absolutely fantastic. So 19, something with spaceships or outer space or whatever Rob wanted us to do. Now, Rob probably pulled the album that I would have pulled, but so I'll just go with this one. Flocky Seagulls, and we have UFOs there. We have the song Space Age Love Song on this, and around about this time, I've seen Flocky Seagulls about 3 times round about this and got to know Mike's score quite well, fairly. And yeah, so they were sort of a favourite band of mine at the time. Bill Nelson produced their first couple of singles, and so UFOs, Mike was into UFOs, he had reckoned he had seen them and whatever, which I do believe. And this is their first single, Flocky Seagulls. Don't think it's got a title, is it? From whenever, 1982. Last but not least, oh no, that's another one, nearly missed this. VCLT or a present, well, not really had any this year, but I'm working in a chap's house just now and he's produced a CD, maybe last year or so I think. 2018 this is, and he gave me his CD. It's Johnny Williams. He's just produced another CD actually. And I say Johnny's a wee bit like Johnny Cash. I'm trying to get him local gigs here. He's from Wales, moved back to with his wife to fairly local here, so we're renovating his house. And Johnny Williams, this is a wee freebie I got, wee freebie CD. Very good actually. Last but not least, 1973, an album. I could have went a few ways with this, but I've went Alice Cooper, and a special album for me at the time was $1 Billion Babies. This is thrashed. It's not got the dollar bill in it. $1 Billion Bill. Such a brilliant album, really. My mate had this and we just sit in his bedroom listening to this and Ziggy Stardust all the time. It's got Elected on it. Hello Hooray. No More Mr. Nice Guys. one of Alice Cooper's best albums, $1 Billion Babies. Okay, that's it for now. I'll catch you later. Have a good rest of the holiday. I'm out to play golf again. Freezing.